Welcome back to Sidebar. We are joined by Sunya Ojure. She's the Senior Manager for Sustainability at Salesforce, one of my most inspiring companies, actually. I love what you guys are doing. And your big focus, there's so many great people on your team. Your big focus on building sustainability concepts into the culture of the company, which of course, Salesforce has a culture, a big time.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when did you take that role on, and can you give us an example of a tactic or a principle that has been particularly successful?
Yeah, absolutely. So I realized a couple years ago that organizational design and changing human behavior was really what I was excited about, and it happens to present itself as sustainability because great organizations are sustainable organizations. Right. So I've always had that as a part of my core role at Salesforce. It's taken different forms. I think that at first, when I was slightly more junior, it was really more traditional employee engagement. And now what's so exciting is we're starting to infuse the culture of our high-level executives, board, our decision makers, and that has so much potential.
So is there anything in particular, I'm curious, do you use the word sustainability? Do you use that?
We do, yeah. The way that it's defined for us at Salesforce is sustainability really means environmental work. We have other amazing colleagues who work on social impact and community engagement, but our team exclusively focuses on environmental issues.
And how can you give us an example of something that's worked really well for you? Right, you moved from employee engagement to what? What is it now that's different and particularly impactful?
Yeah, one of my personal programs is event sustainability, and I think that it's been a great example of, like you mentioned, the Salesforce culture being a mechanism and a vehicle to engage not only our internal stakeholders, but also our customers and our partners. So what's worked is we approached the strategic events team that manages our annual conference and started giving them some alternatives to standard industry practices. Events can be incredibly wasteful, they can be incredibly intensive and negatively impactful on the environment. So small tweaks, we've been at this now for 6 or 7 years, we've made on the operational side, but also on the experience.
And I just want to say, how many people are at that event, right?
It's now the largest software conference in the world. It's 170,000+ registered attendees.
That is a serious effort.
Yeah, we call it Dreamforce, and it takes over downtown San Francisco, and we have a world-class marketing team. So we've been able to leverage that to get our environmental message out.
So I know that the community here loves hearing about what mistakes others made, not so they want to gloat, but so they can learn from them. Yeah. So a mistake or something that hasn't worked for you that you want to share with others so they don't make the same one.
Yeah, I think it's a classic mistake, right? But we often fall into using industry terminology and jargon, and I've really had to catch myself over the years and recalibrate at what level we're discussing the topic. Right. So it's not critical, for example, that my events partner understands the supply chain impacts of PVC and how that translates into vinyl banners and why we might want to reduce those. But what is critical is that they understand that there are viable alternatives, what that decision-making process is like, what the cost impact process is like, whether you can print on these eco-friendly substrates in an effective way, the colors are going to be true. I've learned so much about marketing and graphics throughout this process.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us here at Sidebar.
My pleasure.
And, enjoy the rest of the conference.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much, Sonia.
Thanks.
Stay tuned. We'll have several more interviews.
After this break.
Yes. See you soon.